The biggest news out there today for XRP and Ripple combining is going to be that the fact that Securitize is partnering with Ripple, which we've already known that they've partnered in the past, but they're going to be enabling RLUSD to transfer for BlackRock's BUIDL and VanEck's VBIL tokenized funds, which is absolutely incredibly massive. BUIDL and VBIL, two of the largest tokenized treasury funds, gain 24/7 instant exchange via RLUSD powered by Securitize. And this is by far the biggest thing that's happening for Ripple and XRP and RLUSD today. We got Brad Garlinghouse bull posting about it as well. Very excited to share BlackRock's BUIDL and VanEck's VBIL tokenized funds holders can redeem shares of RLUSD ETH 24/7, 365 through Securitize, and soon to come to RLUSD XRPL. Enterprise grade instant on-chain liquidity at your fingertips. This is real utility. And this is what everyone who supports XRP, who supports Ripple, what they're building. Because as soon as this does launch on the XRPL, which right now it's only on the ETH blockchain, but we will start to see XRP being burned for every single transaction that's going on. And we also have Monica Long, the president of Ripple, also coming out saying last week we announced the DBS in Franklin Templeton was using RLUSD as a liquid, stable, and compliant exchange mechanism for tokenized assets and leading and trading use cases. Well, this week, add on top of that, Securitize added RLUSD as a new off-ramp for BlackRock and VanEck. Also, giving out a huge congratulations to Brad Garlinghouse, saying, I feel so lucky for so many reasons, and marrying Tara this past weekend takes the cake. This next chapter of life is so much sweeter. So it's interesting, Brad Garlinghouse on an absolute tear for September. Obviously, the price not doing well, but it was Ripple's 13th birthday. He did go on to get married. We didn't have the huge announcement for DBS and Franklin Templeton, and now we have the BlackRock and VanEck. Like, this is probably the most epic, game-changing month for the life of Brad Garlinghouse. And as a bonus for the crypto market, U.S. lawmakers asked the SEC to implement President Trump's executive order opening $12.5 trillion of the 401k retirement market to crypto. So as you know, the United States right now was really limited to the way that you could actually invest in crypto for your 401ks or your retirements. Basically, the main place to do that was I Trust Capital. So check this out. All the breaking news over on X. First and foremost, we got All In Crypto posting Uphold's video here. Uphold's CEO, Simon McLaughlin, on deciding to not delist XRP during Ripple's battle with the SEC, Gary Gensler, and to instead show support for the token. And as a matter of law, XRP was not a security. And what's really interesting, if you follow Uphold, by the way, they're always bull posting for XRP. I mean, look at this post, like their number one post that was pinned from September 8th. Automate your wallet, stack XRP. So I know for a lot of people out there that were holding XRP that had to go through that pain, it was very difficult because you weren't able to have very many exchanges that you could even deal with XRP on. But Uphold was there through thick and thin.
Of US law, it had not been adjudicated upon. And so we took the view that the right thing to do was to continue to support XRP until the courts had adjudicated upon it. Because until that moment, as a matter of law, XRP was not a security. And that stance was actually vindicated. And I seem to recall that, there was a long sort of 2-year period. And at some point, the SEC came under a lot of criticism because all of the US exchanges had delisted XRP and effectively caused detriment to US consumers. And the SEC said when they were attacked for this, we never asked the exchanges to delist XRP. And so that also vindicated our position at the time and gave us comfort. So that's the reason we're very proud and feel vindicated that we did support it for that 2-year period. And it's been very gratifying this year to see the US courts basically reject the majority of the SEC's complaints against Ripple.
And in another positive play for the United States economy, Scott Bessent and the IRS have officially moved forward with implementing the no tax on tips, ensuring that tipped occupations become eligible to take $25,000 deduction every year. By the way, if you'd like to leave a tip for the channel, you can do that down below. While you're there, make sure you smash the subscribe and make sure you smash the thumbs up as well.
The one big, beautiful bill solidified the largest tax cut in our history for our nation's workers. Among other groundbreaking reforms, the bill codified no tax on tips. This historic tax break will ensure that America's working families keep more of their hard-earned income. I have a personal appreciation for tipped workers, having been one myself. When I was in my youth, I took my first job as a busboy. When I was just 9 years old, I cleared tables at a local cafeteria and set up chairs and umbrellas at a beach nearby, and I depended on tips for a significant portion of my income. To this day, tens of millions of Americans depend on tips to feed their families, pay their rent, and make ends meet. And President Trump wants to make life easier for all of them. On Labor Day, I was out at diners and restaurants meeting with some great servers to remind them of President Trump's exciting new provision. To that end, the one big beautiful bill will allow millions of qualified employees to claim a deduction of up to $25,000 each year on their tip income.
Now, unfortunately, yesterday, crypto liquidations did hit $1.8 billion. Is this the final flush, or are we going to be seeing more to drop? Over 370,000 traders got wrecked yesterday as leveraged positions vaporized to the tune of $1.8 billion. It's the biggest long liquidation event of 2025 so far. Bitcoin dipped below 112,000 on Coinbase, Ethereum under 4150, and altcoins took the hardest hit with over 83% of the damage. Market cap was down $150 billion, which was down the lowest it was in 2 weeks. Real Vision founder Rob Paul said this is the same thing that happens all the time, adding the crypto market is focused on a big breakout, gets leveraged long ahead of it. It fails on the first attempt, so everyone gets liquidated. Only then does the actual breakout occur, leaving everyone sidelined. As you can see, largest long position wipeout of 2025. Here is the actual chart for 2025, and this is a massive volume spike of liquidations, significantly over anything that we've seen all year. Now, if this is the final flush, then we're primed for October rebounds, especially with the Fed rate cut whispers. For everyday holders, it's a reminder, ditch the leverage if you're not ready for the whip. Is there more to come? Well, possibly if Bitcoin tests the 103 support, but fundamentals look solid. Heading over to TradingView to take a look at what is going on in the market. So a couple of things that we were prepared for that we've been talking about now for weeks, because we were on the positive side of it when we had our full moon pressure moon rise to the upside. Well, we knew coming weeks ahead that the new moon was going to give us some bearish energy. Well, we saw bearish energy leading into it. The day of the new moon, it was bearish. And the day after, we had that significant flush to the downside, even dipping just a tad below the area of our short-term support level that we talked about for the actual supply demand zone. So what are we looking for right now? Well, what we talked about, the biggest positive thing we could see would be a hold in between these zones. So if we could get consolidation in between the level of $3 to $2.75 here without a free fall to the lower levels, because if you remember, the lower levels gets us to $2.30 if we get some real bearish energy.